Okay. Hi, Nicholas.
Hi, you I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me on here. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Just
thank
before,
you.
just before when we were chatting, we were talking about connecting through Shay, and she did a great piece on you on her blog, The Starlight Scribe, and she recommended I reach out because, first of all, you're a fantastic artist, but also just an interesting
You.
story in a little bit of a way similar to the way that I went about getting to where I am. And so I just wanted to chat with you about all of that, about what you do and why you do it. And again, I'm looking forward to diving into it.
Thank you. No problem.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So starting out, I want to get to your art. I want to get to your story. I want to get to your conservation efforts. But first, just high level, who are you and where do you come from and what is it that you do in the art world?
Okay. Yeah, I'm Nicolas Jim, as written on my post, and I'm more of the visual artists and the fine artists, realists. So I focus much on the realism part of artwork. And I come from Zimbabwe. I was born in Zimbabwe, but I stay in South Africa. That's where my origin is back then, down there in Zimbabwe. So, well, I can say I started at a very young age because my father was an artist by profession as well. So he's the one that inspired me to start the painting stuff and to be getting much interest in the art. And although he didn't pursue the engineering dreams, he's more of a creative person and a very skilled person in engineering. As far as I remember, he created a lot of stuff. He made his own handmade lathe machine. It was one of the greatest things that I envied from him. He made a lathe machine. He made some toys for engines, some engine toys. So he's much interested in creating. He made a petrol engine just at a toy level, things that could work, steam engine. So he's that creative. So his mind is such diverse so that it could inspire me to emulate what he used to do. So yeah, I can just say from him, I got a lot of inspiration to pursue my artwork field. And at the tertiary education, I did chemical engineering, also a master's in chemical engineering. So, yeah, and actually seeing how the industry works and the employment, the way the employment is handled, and the employer employee relation kind of pushed me towards diverting towards my own passion, my own route, where I could establish my own company, I can say, or my own trade of art, where I can manage everything and run on my own. So I can just say I was motivated by the fact that art, it's both leisure and profession at the same time, but it's combined together. And at
Yeah.
the same time, using my design skills and creative skills being applied. So I ended up diving into art and I really enjoy it a lot. So I'm an artist engineer.
An artist engineer.
I
You're a
did say.
creator, a builder. I like the way you said that. You said that it's when doing art, starting kind of doing your own thing, it's leisure and profession, which is I think
Exactly.
that's the combo you're looking for is because it's leisure because it's something that you get into it and you want to keep doing it. It's enjoyable. You
Exactly.
reach that flow and the time goes by without you realizing it. The profession
Yeah,
side of it
true.
is
I
you've got to
earn
figure out
money.
how to turn it into money. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's true.
When you were young, your father did he create because you're an oil painter, did he also do oil paint or was he doing some other
Yeah,
form of art? Okay.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
was he your teacher?
Not
Direct like was he
necessarily.
directly instructing you or were you just watching from the periphery?
Yeah, sometimes I could get some instructions. Yeah, I could get some instructions from him. And he also have some books where he give me and I could study and I could master all the art concepts, the real ones that are taught at school. I mastered all of them from the books that I used to read and also instructions from him I could get here and there.
Yeah, and would you say that he was a gentle teacher?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, but you know what fathers do? up to now, I haven't yet received a compliment when you could say your artwork is perfect. That's not
Mm.
perfect. He kind of reserves those comments, and he always have something to criticize about every one of my pieces.
uh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
critic. Yeah,
Yeah. He knows how to motivate you in that way. I would
yeah,
say
he always.
if you need to hear that, I would say I was looking at this painting of a lion that you put together and of a rhino, and I would say practically perfect. The attention to detail and with all the lines, the right lighting, shading, the right angles. I mean, so real, so realistic, practically perfect. So there you go.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes,
Well, tell me about
sorry.
why did you go into chemical engineering then? Did you feel like you needed to do something different than your father, or did you feel like you needed to pursue something that would be more consistent as far as finances, or was it a genuine interest to try to figure something out or do something?
Okay, well, most people ask me that question, um, and I normally say, well, art is in the blood and engineering is in my mind.
Mm,
So I'm I'm an engineer by profession, but my mind is linked towards design. I always think about designing. I'm very passionate about design, but art is just born in me. I can't really call it a passion, but it's just in me. I Everywhere I go, I will just start to see a painting coming up, and I enjoy the nature, and I dive into that. But engineering is more of a dream for me. I intended to do that as a passion. So what drove me to engineering was really the interest in the passion. I'm really passionate about it, and also the monetary part. But at the same time, I don't want to do it as an employee. That's
right.
my major. Even now, I still want to pursue it. I still want to pursue some. I've got a lot of projects that are in mind that I've done, but I'm just looking for the funding to push them through. But yeah, as a creator in the project, that's what I want to do, not as an employee.
Yeah,
I
I could
think
see
you
that.
get my angle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've dabbled in the business world myself, and there's a big difference between wanting to accomplish something and having that passion and trying to do something that you can envision in your head, and then
Yeah.
going and receiving a list of tasks from an employer that says, "Hey, do this, and I'll complete this
Exactly.
list, and
Exactly.
I'll give you a paycheck."
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
But
So
that's
I do have my own projects that I'm pushing, that I want to achieve, that I want to attain in the engineering, more specifically the manufacturing projects. And that's probably because chemical engineering is also called production engineering.
okay.
So that's the other name for chemical engineering. It's production engineering. It's processing of raw materials from the processing raw materials to the final product. So it's more of measuring on production. So that's what I want much about engineering.
Yeah, that
I'm
makes sense.
passionate about production.
Taking something from one
Raw material. Yeah,
Yeah, raw material, taking something from one source and manifesting it or turning it into something else.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's
And
interesting.
if we look at it, it's more of the same thing that we are doing in artwork,
Yeah.
because we are taking an idea, and I think we'll speak about it later, how I developed the painting. It's more of the same paint, the same channel that we followed.
Yeah.
So it's creating an end product from an idea.
Yeah, I want to dwell on that for just a second because I often think about artists as not necessarily people who have more skill in their hands or more skill in their brush or their pencil, because I think those things, like
Yeah,
you learn those things from a book, and just they give you, there's technical skills that you can learn. But what I find interesting about artists is that they often have much more clear vision. They see things and then they want to manifest those things. And so
exactly.
when I think about artists, I think about people who have eyes that can see.
Yeah, it's like having an idea that you have. It's sort of a vision. It appears like a vision, and you want to develop it into something that is tangible. That's generally what I do. But actually, it's more of that way in the abstract type of art than realism. Of course, we kind of input some part of it that developing an idea into something that is real, but we are not more of creators in fine art because we take a concept that is already existing and develop it into something. Of course, adding
Yeah.
a few features here and there, but it's not much as 100% creating something from scratch in fine
Yeah.
art rather than in abstract. It's more of that in abstract art.
Yeah, it's less visionary and more when I think about realism, you still have to be able to see because it's really tricky to go from seeing something to producing it on a page because in the
Yeah,
between there is a part of your mind that goes, well, it's like this. And then you put that down on the page and you go, well, that doesn't, no, that's not it. You have to go back and you have to really see what it is that you're creating. Like you have to, especially in realism, you have to translate it directly without any interpretation. Yeah, the vision of an artist or the visionary mind of an artist, they kind of go hand in hand, I think. And I think it's really interesting that
that's
you
true.
have that engineering mind. It's something that I really
Yeah,
relate to because you said that the art just kind of flows out of you. It's just like something that you are. But then you have this thing in your mind where you have these ideas and you can see processes. You said
yes.
it's procedural
And
engineering, and that's what always stood out to me for myself, but also for artists is that they have you can see something in your head, but not just that, you can see the process to getting there, to manifesting
yeah,
it in real life.
yeah, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah. It's like it's a streamline where it flows through certain channels. Eventually you get to the final product.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about production engineering, we'll be talking of steps and redetermining steps, things like that. You'll find out that the the flow stream is kind of the same as what we do in artwork, where you don't just wake up with a completed product on one day. Some people think that, when I'm doing artwork, I can just finish a painting in 2 days or in one day, but it goes through several processes and stages. And that it also lead to the pricing because at the end of the day, you find out some people call them expensive, depending on the person. But all those caring in the amount of time and stages that it went through, it doesn't just you don't just wake up with a completed piece.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I'm currently doing this one
You painted that one this
in the
morning.
process. It's still in the process. I'm still working on it,
Yeah.
but
I have that exactly what you're talking about. I have that issue with that challenge with my daughter because she loves art, she loves creativity. But if she can't
yeah,
get what's in her head to appear on the page in the first try, she just
exactly.
collapses into tears. And then I have to pat her on the back and say, "Hey, it's okay. Like you're the only one who gets
uh,
the
a
artist is
lot
the
of
only one who sees
patience.
the first version. Everybody else gets to see, the 10th, 11th, 12th
The
version."
final
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
So you went into school, you got a job, and you did that for about 2 years. But what were you going through then? What was the kind of the emotional state of being in that world with a boss and schedules and tasks that didn't match with your passion? What was that like?
Firstly, is the issue of time because at work you're supposed to go there. We used to work for 8 hours a day, and during the 8 hours, is to me it's not only 8 hours because I have to travel maybe an hour to
Right.
get to the office, and I need to prepare before that hour. I need to prepare for work. I need to wake up and put everything in place so that I get to travel. And I think I can also add an hour for that. So at the end of the day, even after work, the same process is involved. So at the end of the day, I would say I would use maybe 11 to 12 hours for work. And coupled with, in comparison to what would be running through my mind in terms of creating and all the goals that I need to achieve, I could find out that at the end of the day, I'm just achieving a certain amount of salary and also an experience, I can say. But uh, life is too short. I need a lot of things to be fulfilled. I need to accomplish a lot of goals. This is
Yeah.
12 hours a day. So it was just at that part, the part of time. I'm using 12 hours.
Yeah.
I need to sleep as well. So I would see that the whole day is just fading away in that
Yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
the issue of time.
Yeah, I felt that exact same challenge. It turns out that when you have a job and you work, 40 hours a week, like you're saying, you're actually spending all of your time preparing for that time when you're at work. And so
Yeah,
every evening you're telling yourself, I've got to get to bed so that I'm not tired tomorrow. And
exactly.
in the
Exactly.
morning, you've got to get up, if you want to exercise, you got to get up early, and then you're tired. And then
Yeah.
Sundays would come around because I would work Monday through Friday. And so Sundays would come around, and that evening I'm just like, oh, here we go again, like another week. And
Yeah, you're always looking forward to the work.
yeah,
You find yourself, you realize that only get to a point that you'll find your actual self when you have an off or on
right.
Saturday. So it will seem as if like the whole week you're bound to that. But if you're doing your own thing, and let's say I manage to successfully run my own company or my own plant, I think I'll be having much more time to explore and do a lot of things. I'm a person who likes adventure. I love tourism. I love visiting the wildlife scenes, the nature. I love all that.
Yeah.
So I can only explore such things when I have my own calling, which I can manage.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for somebody like you described being an artist where it just feels like it's part of you. I would imagine that nature then also feels like it's just a part of you. Like you need to spend that time
Spend
in
time,
nature
exactly.
so that you feel refreshed or you feel balanced or something.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the one of the biggest challenges for me in the corporate world or just having like a full-time job was just looking around and not seeing a lot of other people who were struggling the same way I was. Just to be present, to honestly to care about every little thing
Okay.
the way that everybody cared about it. And then anytime you do try to bring up, nature, you try to bring up something like art or something like spirituality, and not even from a religious perspective, just like what you're going through or what you want out of life. There
Mhm.
just wasn't a lot of understanding, or there wasn't a lot of people who were on the same wavelength as you. I mean, I even had friends who I worked with and I got along fine with them. But when I would say like, well, what do you really want to do? They would just look at me like, well, what do you mean? This is what we're doing. And even from that sense, I had to find a way, you know?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see.
Th
Yeah, it's like that. Well, it depends on your long-term goals,
Right.
the goals that you wish to achieve in the long term. Yeah. If you're satisfied with that particular objective, then that's fine. But if you want to have a lot of goals thereafter, then it won't be enough.
Yeah.
Employment won't be enough.
Yeah, I read a lot of psychology, I read a lot of psychoanalysis type stuff like Carl Jung, and he talks about this phrase called individuation, which is essentially just becoming yourself, becoming like your whole
Okay.
true self. And when I think about art, the creative process, in a way, it lends itself to that individuation process because it allows you to become you're focused on something that you really want to be doing or that you're really engaged in, and through that
Hmm.
you can take parts of yourself that maybe perhaps you hadn't fully developed before, and they can become a more full part of you, or you can become a more whole individual. And just going working a full time job at somebody else's company, building somebody else's stock price, fulfilling somebody else's project list.
Vision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not building yourself, you're building something else that's external to
Ex-
you. And
Exactly.
that was
Exactly.
probably the most painful thing and the biggest reason why art, for somebody who has that inclination, art's a very important part of their life.
Yeah, sure. And also entrepreneurship. That particular company, imagining it from my point of perspective is someone's project, someone else's project that, I don't have anything against employment. I can't say I'm against employment. Employment is good because, well, from some of us, coming from the college after graduating, you need some sort of a starting point where you need to earn something so that you can't just create something from nowhere without that some finance. So I can say, yeah, employment helps because you put you at a certain level where maybe you have acquired a certain amount of income and you use that as your capital and you can do something from there. But what I'm against is maybe 20 years employed, 30 years employed. I don't think I'll be achieving anything.
Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
on top of just the capital, like the financial capital, you also probably learned a lot about how to be disciplined
To
and how to,
manage
yeah,
exactly.
exactly, yeah, manage
Um,
yourself.
yes, yes.
Yeah, for
As
sure.
well as
I know, I picked that up.
conflict resolution, managing people, et cetera, et cetera. Because I was working as I was the head of a department. So I got an opportunity to work with a lot of people. I could see some weaknesses in people and also being a good human management personnel, you know, getting such experience was vital.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even if I'm to do it right now, I have people who are doing some things at my background, some people in the admin, some people in the social media. So I also use that experience in managing the personnel. I think it'll be
Yep.
yeah, it's a good starting point. So
Yeah.
in the corporate, being in the corporate is a brighter experience. Yeah, it's needed. That's why I'm saying I'm not
Yeah.
against it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
feel the
good,
same way.
but
I
I'm
feel
not.
very grateful for what I was able to bring forward from it.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
sure.
you've got to learn you got to learn all the there's technical skills, there's even just working with technology, working with people. It's all going to be
Sure.
important because you don't want to just go
Yeah,
be a starving artist. You want to be a successful artist.
of course, of course. And you're not gonna be alone in the world there. You need people. So like working with people is a very important thing.
Yeah, yeah. People need people. So
Yeah, sure.
when you decided to make that switch, what was that process like? And or what was the emotional did it take an emotional toll on you for a little while? An economic toll,
Well,
or how did you manage it?
sure. Actually, the switching part, to me was an interesting thing. It was something that, I was over the moon. I was happy because I was seeing myself as somebody that is finally achieving what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, well, economically, I don't think it affected me that much because when I was, okay, the issue is when I was employed, I was working during the weekends. I was also doing my art during the weekend. So I could sell in the galleries,
Right.
maybe one big sale or two big sales in 3 months, something like that. And I could get in a certain amount of money that could maybe be equated to maybe, okay, let me say, give you an example that I can sell a painting. Uh, I can sell one painting that I did in 3 weekends, and the amount of money will be equivalent to maybe 3 months
Oh, okay.
of
Okay.
employment. Well,
Yeah. Well, that
yeah,
helps.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so making the decision was not very hard for me because
Yeah.
I could see myself like I could think like, okay, so if I put more time in this work, I could actually be free because I'm using 12 hours employed. So I can say it was actually a relief to me.
Yeah.
It was a
That's
hard
awesome.
decision to take, but it was a relief. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
I felt relief
I could imagine. So
and
then
also upgraded on the economical part. It was an
yeah.
up on the finance. Yeah.
So then any of the maybe the burden, if you even felt it at all, could have been just social, just what other people think
No,
or no,
no, no,
didn't bother
nothing.
you. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
nothing. Yeah.
that's then you're truly free.
Yeah, because of course, the social environments will be flexed. They'll be asking, "Why are you doing this?" and the
Yeah.
like. But after seeing the progress, they'll be satisfied. They'll be like, "Ah, you
Yeah.
did a good decision." It's hard to do something with your own vision and thinking that, "What if I fail?" Or maybe then later on failing and it's a radical decision. But if people see you succeeding in that particular area, they'll later on appreciate what you have done.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
also, yeah, they'll be like, well, you did a good thing. You did a good thing. They'll heap you with praises after that. So it's
Yeah.
also
Okay.
exciting.
So most of your art that you produce is realistic landscape portraits and a lot of animals, plants, like landscape plants,
Wildlife.
animals, wildlife. When
I can
you
just say nature.
nature, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about the process. How do you pick a subject? And it seems like you must go out into the wild and you must capture a subject or something with a photograph or something and bring it back. But what is that like?
Okay. Well, I can say it's in two phases. Sometimes I have to go into the wild and I get an inspiration from a certain place or a certain area. Yep. And I feel like painting it, scenarios like sunsets. You can see that there's a sort of an emotion that grows you with a certain amount of time. You can come up with an idea that I want to produce a series of paintings which tells a certain story. Maybe let's say seasons in Africa, and I want to show how the animals are starving during the dry seasons, how it's how rain brings joy and happiness amongst the nature, amongst the wildlife, how winter brings the cold and then they go and hide. Even the life in the tree goes to the roots and then later on comes up again in summer. So I can tell a story with the seasons, just the seasons on their own. And by doing such, I can come up with several ideas of paintings. The paintings in the summer, winter, autumn, and or even the springtime, with the areas, of course, that do have the spring season. That's how I generate an idea. I can just see, I can have a story in the background whether I want to show the seasons, I want to show life, how life is conserved and how life is progressing in the nature, how the ecosystems manage themselves. Like the same way I was saying that the life in a tree goes to the roots during the winter seasons, and then it springs up again in the summer when the rains come. And, such paintings will have a long way to go in the memory in the imagination. Then, yeah, so that's the first part where I just go into the wild. I see the photos, I see the scenes, I see the landscape, beautiful landscapes in several countries, and I draw an inspiration to paint those particular scenes. So it's just from the visits or just from the emotions that you feel and some bones that are attached to the area. And it will make you develop, it enable you to develop an idea from it. Then, well, that's the first part. But this is done by visiting. I'll be visiting the national parks and the game reserves and all that. So that's through tourism. That's why I was saying it's leisure combined with profession. So tourism on its own is leisure. I enjoy going out. I enjoy
Yeah,
all
of
that.
course.
Yeah, going into the wild and recording the videos of the animals and seeing the birds flying, the waterfalls, all those. It, it's just refreshing. So
Yeah.
it's more of transmission of a feeling to the canvas. So yeah, there is an emotional attachment to your the trip that I may have gotten, and then I transfer that feeling to the canvas. I want to make it remain. And I found out that a lot of people who then in turn look at the piece, they'll kind of have the same feeling that I was having when I visited that particular moment. They will see even, okay, let's see, I see a view which have got a good perspective that is showing a scene that is very far away from you. And you're standing at this point of view where you're maybe at a high point and you're seeing a very uh, a scenery that is containing and animals that are very far and mountains that are very further away. So you kind of feel like, well, there's a very great distance to travel to that area, and it takes a certain sense that'll make you feel as if you're traveling to that particular area that is far. So you'll be drawn in the spirits to wish to see what is beyond what you are not seeing. So
Right.
it's like seeing further away from where you are standing. So that's sort of an emotion that you feel when you are looking at that particular scenery. So when I paint it and I show it to somebody, they'll kind of feel the same. Like, oh, I wish to go over the mountains to see what's behind the mountains, things like that. So yeah, such stories are kind of fascinating and interesting and intriguing to the customers. Then the second one is more of vice versa, where a photographer comes with a photo. I have a lot of connections with photographers and wildlife photographers. They can give me a photo, and I see the photo, and then I can combine 10 different photographs from
Mm,
10 different people to produce one paint that I want. So I can take, maybe it's a lion that is drinking water. Well, I see that the lion is drinking water. I like the concept. I like the idea. And then I want to generate that into something that I wish, or something that I'm imagining. So maybe I want the lion to drink water when other animals are running away, or I want it to be in a sunset landscape, or I want it to be uh, 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 maybe on a porthole, just drinking water on a porthole, not necessarily in a dam or something like that. Then I change the scene to fit my story, to fit what I want. So that's the second way I generate a painting. So the first one is just taking it directly from the nature and painting it like that. Then the second one is generating an idea from several different scenes and produce one painting. I can produce a painting from 10 different scenes and produce one.
yeah, fascinating. I think again that kind of speaks to the ability of an artist to see what needs to be, or like see what needs to be put on the canvas. And I also think about it like you're talking about transmitting an emotion to the people who are viewing your art.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's almost something I don't know what the word might just be, like magic or something. It might just be like like you're some kind of magician. But I think that's the role. Like when I think about artists, creators, people who do see what's beyond, what's directly, literally in front of them, the people who can see beyond that, it's their
Yeah,
role. Like what you're doing, it's your role to take that and present it in such a way that somebody else can stand in front of it and suddenly see
yeah,
beyond what they
exactly.
were originally thinking.
You can actually feel, you can actually create in predicting how the person is going to feel. You can actually predict how someone is going to feel when they see the paint.
Yeah, maybe not even
So
predicting,
it's
you're
like
you're you're
instilling an
guiding them, or you're like
emotion.
you're putting it into them in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that, there's a lot of people, if you look at all of society, all of history, there's a lot of people who are happy to just go to a job and work that job. And that's good. That's good for society. People need to the human species, we need people who can just go to work. But at the
Yeah,
same
sure.
time, there are people who we need to have people who can see nature, who can see a situation, who can see something from beyond and pull that in and share that with other people. That's,
Exactly.
that's what literature is. That's what movies are. That's,
Oh,
that's what,
that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to
yeah,
say that the people that are creating movies, music, dramas have that same concept.
yeah,
They can make you cry.
yeah. Well, you even said, yeah, you do painting, but you still use the word story. And I think that's pretty fascinating because
Sure.
that's how humans operate, is we have stories. And every time an artist can come along and add a little something into our story, it helps us see more, it helps us grow as
Yeah, sure.
individuals, as a society. I think it's a beautiful process. And it's been going
Yeah,
on
that's
for forever, since way back when, and it'll keep going on
for
forever moving
ages.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
One thing that I think is interesting about your art, and again, it's amazing. Like you have this Shay posted on her blog the picture of you next to you have a lion, and it's kind of coming out of the maybe the grass or the tall bushes or something, and it's so
Mm.
close and it's so present and it's so realistic. Um, when I go, well, first of all, when I go to nature, I try to spend a good amount of time outside, just in my neighborhood. I go for runs, go for walks, sit in the backyard. But when I have time, I like to go up into the mountains and spend time in the trees and just get away. But when I do that, I never have to worry about probably what you have to worry about going into the woods, like an actual
Like
lion
the
walking out of the
details.
bushes. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
we have an
Different
occasional.
taste.
Yeah, well, we just the different environment for sure, and so I feel probably much safer. But how often do you get to go out, and how often how do you do it? Are you hiking, or are you in a safari jeep? Like, how are you protected when you have these lions and hyenas and leopards, and it's just a
Okay.
different environment.
Well, normally it depends with the park that you visit, because most of them actually in Africa, here in Africa, they've got guides and
Yeah.
tour guides. Yeah. So when you're with them, they will tell you the rest. When you have a car, or even if you're walking with them, yeah, they'll guide you and they know how to manage everything. So you're just depending on the guide.
Yeah, I imagine. But what I was really getting at is the realism. Like this lion, it really looks. At first take, I go, wait, is he a photographer? Oh no, he's painting, because this lion really looks like it's coming at me. And
Okay.
when I think about, for example, Western art, like art in the United States right now, and art in even some of the art in Europe, a lot of it is this really postmodern, like meta art, and it's so abstract. It's like beyond abstract, where it's a different kind of realism, where it's just like kind of art showing what art is, and it's kind of uh, I think it speaks to the need for the Western world to evolve to a new myth. But
Okay.
when I look at your art, the type of realism it is, and then I think about your efforts in conservation, wildlife conservation. It seems to me that
Hmm.
you've hit the nail on the head. Like, you're doing it spot on, because if you are to take nature to the masses, to the cities, and show people there who aren't experiencing it, you want to show them what nature is, and the beauty of it, and the power of it, and even the importance and necessity of nature. You couldn't do that through some kind of abstract art. You couldn't go into the woods or the wilderness and see an elephant or a lion and then come back and paint some cubes and circles, or
Of
like
course.
a really shiny Mickey Mouse, and
Yeah,
expect people
sure.
to care. So I
Yeah.
think I think that your realism combined with your conservationism is just the perfect pairing from an artistic perspective.
Yeah, they need to see what it is. They need to see the real animal, and yeah, if it's struggling, they need to see how it's struggling. If it's aging, they need to see how it's aging. Mm. So yeah, they need to. I really love conservation, because there are some species, like the white rhino, if I'm to name one of them. They are endangered. They are running out. So yeah, conservation will need to be put in place so that we can still remain with the memory of how they look. So I try to paint exactly the way it looks, so that it will remain in our memories and
Yeah.
stick to our minds. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't just become a memory. But even now, if you're still working towards the conservation of a species, to be able to present it in a way that really makes people feel like they're there, that really
yeah,
conveys
sure.
that story or that emotion that you're talking about, it seems like a necessity for the work of not just from the art. I get the art as as a passion, or as like something that you can really just dive into, but from a conservation perspective, to get people to really care enough, you have to be able to tell that
Yeah,
story in a very clear way.
that's true. That's true. That's exactly my ambition, my aim. Well, I think in the world, even wildlife conservation. I'm a wildlife conservationist. If there is no one that is taking care of these wildlife species, then conserving the environments, I think the world would be in shambles. We wouldn't be seeing the nature and enjoying it the way we're enjoying it. So I find passion and I find pride in such measures like wildlife conservation. That's why I intend to give uh, as much as I can to the Wildlife Society, all those organizations. Like right now, I'm working with Endangered Wildlife Trust. They are doing a lot of efforts towards wildlife conservation, and you know, I I find pleasure in funding and donating some funds to them because of their efforts.
Yeah. I understand from the perspective of you being connected with nature and you seeing the beauty in it and the value for your for yourself. But from a broader perspective, can you speak to like the importance of conservation for us as like as a species or as a society? Why is what's out there outside the city important to what's going on inside the city?
Well, um, I can say it it's classified. Well, depending on the people, there are certain people that are here where I stay who can say, I don't find anything good about wildlife. There is nothing. I can just see it as a stone. It's just a stone and they can just pass. So if I want to say it's important, I should also mention the class of people that is important to. It's not important to everyone. And yeah, I think you understand on that minute that yeah, there is a certain class of people who it's important to. So I can say it's important, but to some people it's not important. So yeah, to those that are passionate about it, like there are people like me who wants to have some time, like those holidays, to have some tourism, time for tourism. So yeah, those are the people that I'm talking about. So it's important because whichever work you're doing, whether you're a pilot, I've painted pieces for a lot of people, pilots, people that are in the engineering world, people that are in the medical field. They all say they need some time where they are not at work. The human mind is not a machine. So it needs some time for leisure, some time for relax. Even footballers, I've seen Lionel Messi in Saudi Arabia there, enjoying himself. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, as much as he works on the pitch and do all sorts of training, all that, you will need the tourism industry at some point. So that's how the nature is important. But they will need that time. No matter who you are, which profession you are in, you will need some time where you need a refreshment. So this is done by, let me say, art in general. Art is there to provide that gap. When there is no art, nothing will be moving on smoothly on earth because art is everything. I have created one video saying art is everything. Everything that we look at is art. So no matter who you are, you're a boxer, you're a wrestler, you're a soccer star, you're a pilot, an engineer, a medical doctor, you will need that time where you need to refresh, you need to relax, you need something to entertain you. So that is done by one, music. You need that time for you to be involved in music. Maybe at night, even when you're working, you need that time for music. So music is an art. Music, and musicians are artists. They create something that will fill that gap in your mind because you're not a machine. You get tired. You need to relax. So music bridge that gap. It's an art. Some may say we don't go into music, but they go to movie houses and everywhere. Maybe you have your girlfriend or something. You need to visit a movie house. That's art. They're creators. So you go there to the movie house to see what's being produced in the movie. That they tell you a story, even if you know it's false, but there is something that it does to your mind and to your emotions. If you're not going for the movies, you are going to the art museums. So this now is a different thing, whereby it's happening out there. It's in the nature. Some may visit those tourist game reserves and everything, but it's not everyone who be able to have a privilege of visiting all the areas in the world. So what's happening out there, what art does is that it brings that tourism experience, that tourism refreshment. What is happening? Your question was, how does what's happening out there affect what is within? Right.
Yeah.
This is the way. When you go out, you're refreshing yourself with the environment. You're refreshing yourself with the air, with the atmosphere, with everything. So what art does, as I said in the beginning, is it brings that experience in your house.
Mm.
So you experience that same feeling in the home. So what happens out there is it's a moment of refreshing. It's a moment of relaxing. It's a moment of providing that bridge between what you feel and what you see. So yeah, that's how nature affects the home. So it's playing the same part as music. It's playing the same part as dramas. Yeah, all those. I've seen a lot of people going to cinemas for like that. Yeah, America's Got Talent, or yeah, that AGT and PGT, Korea's Got Talent. They go there for fun.
Yeah.
They enjoy themselves when they're there.
Yeah.
So it's like bringing those talents in the home, and yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful answer. The way I think about it, well, first I have a lot of thoughts, but first, this world that's like industry and city and progress, it's a very masculine world. It's a world about
Sure,
order
it
and getting
drains.
things done. Yeah.
Exactly.
And this other side of it, like you're saying, we're not machines. We might be in a
Yeah,
masculine time where we're very focused on producing, but we're not machines in the way that you can just, plug the cord in and then just run it forever. We're more like batteries that need time to sit and recharge. And so then
exactly.
when I think about art, it seems that ability to see nature, to appreciate it, to reproduce it in a way is
Mm,
much more linked to a feminine aspect of life. It's much more
sure.
about seeing the whole and bringing things together and nurturing. And even with you, and when I say masculine and feminine, of course I don't mean men and women. I mean these energies that are within all of us. And
I understand. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
because
true.
I feel like as an artist, somebody who or a creator, you have to be in touch with that kind of chaotic side of yourself, that side that
Mm,
sees everything as one. And then the masculine side of it is just taking what's needs to be for now, like taking it and ordering it so that. But there's this whole side of society that is focused on just constant production, constantly working. They get up early, they go to bed late, and everything in between is work, is their job, is
yes.
moving things forward. And so I can really appreciate what you're saying from kind of a recharging, refreshing, kind of the touring or the enjoying just having some pleasure in your life. But I also see it
Yeah.
as, before I was saying that when you look at a person, an individual, and you kind of analyze an individual from a
Mm,
psychology perspective, you could take that same analysis and just spread it out over the broader society. Where if the society starts to get a little too lopsided one way or the other, a little too masculine, a little too feminine, then there's going to be challenges. There's going to be problems,
exactly. There
and
has to be balance.
yeah, there must be balance. And to neglect nature or to neglect kind of the mirroring of nature through art, in my mind, in a way to become imbalanced.
Sure.
And so there's to me, especially recently with my own efforts from a writing perspective, I can really see how this world and the individuals in this world, there needs to be a lot of healing, and a lot of it is just moving away from like a one-sided way of thinking and just experiencing the world from both sides, experiencing the world through your mind and
Yeah,
also through your body.
Exactly.
And for
Exactly.
a lot of people, that's that, they're one or the other. But as far as healing, as far as balance, growing up, maturation, all of that, it's really important to be both.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So you find out that is the industry that actually have the most money
Of course,
in
yeah,
the world.
yeah.
Because
Their whole drive right there is to produce
yeah,
that shiny, coins.
if I look at at footballers, yeah, they go or sportsmen. Well, they are at work. I can say they're at work, yes, but at the same time, they are creators of emotion.
Yeah,
So when you look at a game between a team, maybe it's a baseball, a rugby team, tennis player, they besides that a sporting event, they are creating emotions in people's mind, and people
yeah,
need that.
yeah,
Yeah, people need that. So they pay. I've had a lot of people paying big monies to just attend a football game. They pay thousands of US dollars just for that 1 hour, 30 minutes because they need that.
yeah, yeah,
Those people are medical practitioners. They are engineers. They are everything, but they need that particular time. It's vital in the mind. So it's like that. So you find out that that's the industry that takes a lot of money. That creative industry. Yeah, I'm talking of sports and arts.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
I d-
because people use need that they'll prefer even to use a lot of money
yeah.
in attending such.
Yeah, I think about it very similar. I grew up playing a lot of basketball, and I never went anywhere with basketball. But when I still enjoy watching it, and when I see somebody
Sure,
who's very very good, what they're doing is they've practiced an art to the point where, in a moment, whether it's soccer, basketball, whatever it is, in a moment they can react without thinking, or
sure.
they're thinking so clearly that they have that speed to react with. And you're right, the
Hmm.
emotion that it creates in people. I mean, I've heard announcers all the time. They'll say, "What a beautiful move." They'll say,
Okay,
that was art.
sure. In
They'll
architect,
yeah, they'll describe it as if there's an artist doing something rather than this person with a ton of muscles doing something.
sure,
And
sure. Yeah, it's like that.
and it also manifests in like you're saying in the finances of it, because as much as it hurts me to not be able to make money playing basketball, I'm glad that there are
Hmm.
people out there who can make millions of dollars playing basketball
They're
because
doing it. Yeah,
yeah,
and you enjoy
because
watching it.
I enjoy it. Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
that those people really do deserve that because of what you're saying, what they bring to so many people that only they or
um,
people like them could bring to those people. And
yeah, sure. And
yeah,
it
I
takes
think
a certain talent. You imagine that maybe he's at the center and he's scoring from the center.
yeah.
He's throwing the ball maybe without looking, and you can imagine how did he do that? And
Yeah.
you're excited
Yeah, exactly. To be
from
that
his back, like
comfortable in front of so many
yeah,
people with your physical
yeah,
body,
sure.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot. So, yeah, I give an example of that. America's Got Talent. Those auditions that they do, showing the talents and how the human being can produce such a skill in doing that. You know, it's just incredible watching
Yeah.
people even swallowing a sword or
Yeah.
and you wonder how is it a human being that is doing that? And
Yeah.
you know it's such emotions that
Yeah.
comes into you. So in
Yeah.
artwork, that's how we do it as well. It's one person can maybe draw, but another one can't do it maybe to the extent that I do it. And it's just good to appreciate the talents. I cannot play soccer. I cannot throw that boy to a basket in the
Yeah.
center without looking at the basket,
Yeah.
but I can paint. So I bring that to the people. They enjoy it. Yeah, that's how diverse we are. But
Yeah. It's so
all
human.
winds up to creativity.
Yeah.
So that's how I envision it. So it's in art perspective. I'm creating something that God has already created, but I'm using that human ability to bring it to the people.
Yeah.
And yeah, that aspect is what I would call art,
Yeah.
is
It also,
bringing in
oh, go
to
ahead.
through talent. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Talent. And then also it just really speaks to passion, like the power of passion. When somebody can spend that much time doing a single thing to become that skilled at it, whether it's art or sports or even people from a business perspective who spend so much time working at something that they really become experts at it, world leading experts at something. It really speaks to, I don't know, the potential of humanity. If everybody could find
sure.
that thing, if everybody could find that thing that they can become great at, uh, the pursuit of something great or becoming great at something is the pursuit of being yourself, being that individual. And so I
Yeah,
think
sure.
it circles all the way around to helping everybody else as well.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Well, Nicholas, we
Yeah.
are right at 1 hour, and I don't want to steal the rest of your afternoon, but I really appreciate this. Has been fantastic. It's a lot of fun, and I appreciate you opening up the way you have.
Oh, sure. Thank you. It's evening, by the way. This side is 21.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you picking a time within my time slots as well. Um,
Oh, sure. Thank you.
yeah. Again, I mean, it was good to hear all of the way that you think and the way that you approach things, and it's it's good to see like there's passion there and there's a joy there, and I really do think that what you're doing is fantastic from an art perspective, from a conservation perspective, and your story is inspiring. You're still young and you have so much ahead of you, so I really appreciate you sharing it all with me.
Thank you.
um,
Thank you so much.
yeah, before we
Appreciate
wrap
it too.
up, is there where can people find your work, your website, social media, that kind of thing?
Okay. I have a lot of places. Well, starting with the social media, I have my Facebook page, Jim Nicholas Artworks, and I have Instagram. Again, is Jim Nicholas Artworks. Then Twitter, the Twitter handle is Jim Nicholas Art, and then LinkedIn, Jim Nicholas Artworks. So Jim Nicholas Artworks is on LinkedIn, is on Facebook, on YouTube is Nicholas Jim, and then it's also on Instagram. Then Jim Nicholas Art is on Twitter. Then website is also Jim Nicholas Art. So yeah, I think on those platforms, the
Okay.
person can find my work.
Okay. Well, awesome. I really appreciate it again, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh.